so we kind of left the first part talking about the early 1900s of a man versus the modern day man, and we kind of came to the conclusion that there's not much of a difference of a man itself, but more so of the things that are a part in the environment and how we transition with those changes. So I want to kind of speak a little bit briefly about this guy. His name is Jack Myers, and he wrote a book, and the book talks about, well, before I say this, any man under here in their 30s? In their 30s. Okay, in their 30s, okay. Any men under 30? All right. So he believes that men who are in their 30s or under 30s are defined and dominated and controlled by women. I'll let the men answer this, if you agree or disagree.
Facts.
Men in their 30s or under 30 are defined, dominated, and controlled by women.
Facts.
Definitely, that's exactly what I was getting to. So, age, so I'm from Baltimore, so there's a lot of bad shit that happens when you're early age, no matter what it is. Like your family get taken away from you, your father died, niggas get locked up, your family get locked up, blah, blah, blah. You gotta become a man early. 20, not even 20, 13 for some guys. 14 for some people. Gotta provide, gotta be out there getting jobs. If you ain't got no job, you gotta go out there in the corner. You gotta move this, you gotta move that. Shit moving so fast that you're not even really thinking about everything else that's going on right now. You trying to help your mother, you trying to help this, you trying to help that. And I wanted to get into, like, what you're saying, men are controlled by women at under 30. That's insane. Like, men don't even get that, like, it's called a prefrontal cortex, right? They don't even understand, like, they can't even control their impulses before they even 25. You know what I'm saying? So niggas is moving out the impulse. And that's why people dying at 25, 18. Niggas doing anything. You know what I'm saying? So we becoming man 25, 30, and then we slowing down, you know what I'm saying? We understand what's going on, and then we understand y'all. Oh, we gotta be. So that's war.
Okay. I think Jack Myers is actually a white man as well. That makes a difference for anyone. I would like to say I agree with him to a certain extent. You guys gotta get his book and kind of read it for yourselves, kind of get a full interpretation outside of just one statement that I'm making. But I definitely feel as though, like, me out in the dating world and meeting men of my age, a little younger or older, they're still developing, they're still growing, and which is not a problem. But I kind of find myself in a position where I'm somebody's mother. I don't really like that role. I don't mind guiding and giving and teaching, and it's a lot of things that come into play that puts them in a position where they're not quite ready. There are some people who have more book knowledge or street knowledge that kind of take that balance a little bit as far as who they are, maturity level to kind of defer. But I feel like a majority of the people who I meet, I definitely agree that are in their 30s are defined, dominated, and controlled by women. They lack the confidence or the skill sets to really hold their own as an individual man. Now, there are people who I have met who do not belong in this category at all. For whatever reason, I just seem to be more attracted than the other one. And I'm working on that.
But I think men under their 30s are controlled by women only because they take advantage of women, not me, but women take advantage of little boys. Like, I know a lot of men that say they lost their virginity by an older woman. Mm-hmm. So that's the only reason why I think men are controlled under the 30s.
Okay.
I think men that are controlled by women are the ones that want to be. I mean, because, there's some that want to be, you know what I mean? And, I mean, because even the ones that don't have anything, you can get a bum guy who don't really bring anything to the table. But it doesn't mean that he's controlled by a woman because he's still in that household, not having to do anything and having her do it all. And that's still a form of control itself too. So
there's some people who like being dominated and controlled by a woman.
They don't know who they are. I think because they still growing. They don't know. Any man that knows who they are ain't gonna let a woman control them.
I don't think you have to have a gender. If you are confident and comfortable with who you are, ain't nobody about to control any of this.
Sometimes the person attracts people that want to control because they like being in control. So,
Yeah, I think that was me, but I don't really think that's me. Like I feel like I fit that. It's not that I have a problem with control. Not that I want to always be in control, but I've been through so much that anytime I get a glimpse of something that set me back, excuse me, gotta go. I need to now steer the gear because I'm too much in a place of too scared for setbacks. I've been in a place where I've been had to hit rock bottom to really get an idea of what my life is like, and it took me forever to kind of get where I'm at. So now that any glimpse of something that's going to knock me back or bring me down, I'm like, oh, nope, sorry, you need to move over. It's time for me to drive.
It's like one of those things where you're almost banking on somebody to notice that something's going wrong before you have to tell. Like, you're in a relationship, it's cool, fine. You may pick up something before the other person. So you're kind of like, okay, well, they don't want to be controlled. Well, let's see how long it takes them to realize that there's issues going on. We live in the same house, you can't miss it. So do you allow like that person to? Because I just kind of feel like if you see something in a relationship, y'all both in a relationship together, there's no way that one person doesn't notice that something is kind of off.
Nope.
So
it can happen.
It definitely does happen, but I guess it goes like you said, just knowing who you are dating, like making sure that you're friends first, and understanding like. I can take it, but I do have a limit to what it is. Like, I have no problem with you taking the reins, but at the same time, past the week, I'm gonna have to do what I have to do. Like, I can't let you blindly walk past something for days, you don't talk about it, you don't speak about it. Nothing, what are you doing about it? Like, if I don't get that vibe that you're doing something behind the scenes to make sure, like, everything is coming back together how it's supposed to be, I'm the same way. Like, you gotta go. Like,
and that comes back to the beginning statement about men being confident and comfortable with who they are, allowing for that masculinity to shine and to be able to know your partner, to be able to understand where that balance is, so when you know it's your time to take a lead or take a step back. Anybody else has?
My man right here said he wants.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I see. Wait, hold on, Chef.
Now, my point, I ain't having nobody says everybody needs to go out and see what's going on everybody get with the ball. Reason I was like facts, it ain't because, and I'm listening to what a lot of people saying, it's not that I disagree, I'm not saying, I hear all points on dominating, like controlling and, making decisions and things like that. I hear all that. When I say, like guys pretty much dominated by women, almost everything a guy does, once he understands what's going on in his life, is for a woman. If that's his sexual preference. If that's his preference, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna get to the alphabet community and what y'all like. That's too much. But you know what I'm saying? As far as like I can distinctly remember me paying attention to how I dress, how I look, smell, walk, talk, everything, all based on women. And then when it just as guys you get older, you start realizing I really don't give a damn about going to these places with a chick. You start realizing yourself that, okay, I like this. Like, I'm laid back. I was a Boy Scout. I like fishing, and setting shit on fire, just having fun. Like, I'm really a kid in my spirit. Like, I understand I gotta be an adult, go to work, do other things, but like, me as a person, like, I realize as I've gotten older, I've let the idea of women and what I want from a woman, or what I need, or what I physically need, it is all in control. Don't get me, like, I learned how to play music, instruments, because of women. Like, y'all like this, I was down, it's everything, like, birds out here dance. I literally just on YouTube, it was like 3 male little birds working on a dance. They was working on like a main call, my man trying this, and like, food chick, did his thing. She's like, yeah. So it's like, I understand where you all like don't want to make decisions for a man, and that control, some guys like to be stuck on. Now one,
But some guys like that, dominant control women. But as a guy, I can say at least, I know for a fact the majority of my adolescents, but mainly my daughters, Drake said nobody trying to see 7 wrong. I'm working, I'm 35, I'm 36. I don't want to be single. I like the idea of marriage, kids, and I got a daughter, like a family. Like I get it. But everything that I'm doing right now is to show women that I can, if you want a family, hey, I'm willing to provide work. And then this is it. This ain't even my words. It's on another podcast. You ladies, ain't nothing wrong with it. Y'all was held back time or whatever. Y'all getting this bag. You looking at guys like, I don't need you. And that's cool if you want to get life like that. Some of y'all, I'm not saying you can't go out here and catch a body like a dude. I learned that a long time ago. I learned that a long time ago. Like, women got sexual desires, men got sexual desires. Who am I to be like, oh, you hoes, you go to the body? I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to chick that got like 1,000 bodies just last week. It's not that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get the idea, and I didn't even read this guy's book. But I just believe a lot of things do are based off for me, a woman. Like, I need to look a certain way. So I mean, like, everything else I get, but I'm basing my moves and how much money I'm trying to bring in here because I know women want that. I just left because I wasn't making enough. For a dude, she called that ugly. Regular kids, but all the kids like him. They all bald and they ain't even 10 yet. So
we don't talk about. We'll talk about children. I'm done now, but everyone looks good to someone, right? So that market statement kind of puts me in the mindset to kind of go straight into the next pinpoint that I want to start. So. Men are creating new gender norms because they lack the knowledge of exposure to traditional gender norms or previous generations. Let me guys know what your thoughts are on that. Men are creating new gender norms. Yes. Because they lack the knowledge of exposure to traditional gender norms from previous generations.
So they're becoming gay on purpose?
Okay, so when I talk about gender norms, it talks about like your role as a man. Alright? So they're changing what that is like because of their lack of exposure to traditional norms that we have known for a role of a man.
So what you're saying is like the roles kind of reverse. Men, for instance, you have stay-at-home moms now, kind of guys are becoming stay-at-home dads.
That could definitely be one of them. Like the men have now had changed the gender roles because of their lack of exposure. So let's just say, like a broken household, right? You may see a single mom working really hard. And that person thinks that my mom is an amazing woman, I love her drive, they want to get another woman like that. And some people put themselves in a mindset to say, I would never let my woman work this hard like my mother did. And some people be in a mindset where they feel like my mother could have did it, you can't. So, I feel like men are, what is your input on men creating gender norms or changing the gender norms because of their lack of exposure to traditional gender norms that we would think, I guess, would be traditional from previous generations.
Yeah. But at the same time, I just feel like everybody should want to change their upbringing, regardless of what generation it is, whatever age it is. Because, like, for instance, my mother is only, she just turned 50. But my boyfriend's mother is damn near my grandmother's age. So he always say all the time, he's like, I'd be surprised at the conversation that y'all have and how you was brought up. Like, so we trying to say my mom was a bad mother? Like, make it make sense. Like, I just feel like regardless of how you was brought up, you should still want different for yourself. And like, create your own type of upbringing for yourself, for your kids, for everybody. Because everybody's mindset is not the same, especially today. And with the fact that men don't express themselves as much, and I feel, this is my from the, your views, if you have a mother and a father in the home, the father will say, boys, and then I see you cry, that type of thing. Whereas, as a woman, you are talk, express your feelings, you can be emotional, you can cry, stuff like that. But I feel like men are more traumatized than females, and then it's coming up, and that's why, to a certain extent, it's a need and a want for me.
Okay.
When it comes to a man, I want you, but I don't need you. The things that I do need you for, I expect you to do them, and I'm only going to say it once. If I got to say it too many times, then it's going to be a problem. You're going to see a change in me, because then it's going to stop me from doing the things that I feel that you should do for me, for you.
Okay. I'm gonna let mom follow up. Hey, girl.
So I think for me, and I'm talking about from like a cultural standpoint, because I have to. So my household, I was brought up, my mother's a breadwinner, even though my dad brings in money, he doesn't bring in as much. So it's just like, my mother is used to being in control of my father. But when you're back home in Africa, it's the man who's the breadwinner. He does everything, and the woman just takes whatever. And so I think to like talk about how you talk about trauma, we say as women we're taught to express ourselves, but being African in an African household as a woman, you can't express yourself. You can't speak, you can't say anything. Whatever happens, that's what you do. And that's it. Like, I have a cousin right now who is married to somebody she never wanted to be with. But in our culture, because y'all have kids, y'all have to be together. So, like, as an adult now, I'm learning how to express myself, but as a child, you're not told to express yourself. You're just like, suck it up, keep moving, because that's what they're so used to.
Ooh, that's great.
In this day and age, I'd like to say you have to find your gender roles for yourselves because, like you said, African way, the black way, it's women. Shut the fuck up, don't say anything, don't say what you're feeling, support your man. And I'd be dead. That's why I'd be dead if I was just sitting there on the back burner saying what my man is saying, supporting what he has to say without my feelings being validated, And so I think that it's important for us at this day and age to say what you're feeling, put it out there, say what you want to do, define your gender roles within your relationship, but also respect each other, if that makes sense. Respect each other to the point where, yes, he's the man, yes, you're the woman, but you also have a balance of what is respectable, what is doable, and what is for your relationship. What is a balance between your relationship, not just succeeding to what society says.
Okay. Either one of you two want to say anything?
I feel like women, I don't know, have just as much, have a lot of baggage too. I have a lot of male friends and I hear things on the opposite sides too. I think there's a lot of healing that needs to take place with women as well, just with all of us. But, I don't know. We just got a way to go, and then when we finally feel like we got there, society changes again and the norms change again and we still have to keep going. But,
I feel like we all are traumatized, and trauma is one of the things that we talk about in our group. And, it's, I forgot what they call it. It's childhood trauma. It makes up like 70% of your adult life, 80, if not 80. So it's like everybody you see now, if you, whatever age you are now, you'll end up dating somebody and you will have to recover from a childhood trauma. So it's like, that's like very important in raising children if you know that and you'll raise your children differently. And it's this book called Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys where they say your mothers raise their daughters and they just love their sons. Because they don't want them to go out there, the streets was bad back then, crack, all that. They just don't want them to die. So they end up raising their daughters. That's why, women now, I feel like, are looking for a comprehensive man. So you don't have to say things twice. You know what I'm saying? You can say things once, but it's like, that's why my whole focus has been male development. And it's like, as we become the kings that we are, our queens will evolve, or we will find our queens, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I found mine being the man that I am, trying to put together, trying to research, but it's like, we gotta work so hard as black men to make the bread and all that. So we get lost in these jobs that don't pay us nothing. You know, they talk to us like trash. Drink cheers, man. But it's like that's my fault. Hey, but that distracts us from development, so we never end up developing. You know what I'm saying? Society they just love us, but on the other end we seeing ourselves get shot and all that. So subconsciously we still traumatized and held down, and we don't know to look towards development to see what we need and how we need to communicate it. Because, you know, I'm going to step on your points, man, but it's like communication is definitely key because in my relationship we talk about if something happens, you need to address it ASAP.
Exactly.
Because it don't need to happen but once. And it's like to change doesn't mean you submit. Nobody submitting. To change, it doesn't mean, it's like, you know what I'm saying?
It's an acknowledgement that you.
Exactly.
I understand
It's
where
respect.
you're coming from.
It's respect for your relationship, because if you plan to, no matter your preference, if you plan to have a relationship with the person, that both people need to know what's going on, need to know the plan. So it's like something that happened, I'd be like, yo, I really didn't really like that. You know what I'm saying? And that could be because of my trauma, but we gotta keep aware that we are still trauma. People trauma bond over things. Like just having sex with a person is a trauma bond. You know what I'm saying? Just being together, just wanting the person around is a type of trauma bond because, you know, your parents wasn't around, so you need somebody. Like, I just like you around, I don't really like you, but I need somebody close to me, you know what I'm saying? So,
that's my mindset the last couple of days, not even talk about that. For me. But I would like to say, like, one of the things that I keep trying to put myself in mindset is so I don't be having skin to skin for unnecessary reasons. I don't want to regret it later down the line. Is that, let's just say if I'm in a mindset or in a negative space and I feel like I want that comfort of somebody. Once me and that person intertwine, whatever that is that's on me is not on them. And if I'm with somebody and they going through something, I don't need for you to come bring that shit over here either. So just keep that in mind, that if you have that moment where you want some skin on skin and you decide you want to go do something, understand that that person that you are confining in, that you feel as though is a safe space, you're now taking all of that energy off of you and transferring it to them. And depending on how full their cup is, may determine if they can really handle that transfer of energy. So I would definitely say keep that in mind.
that's dope. Hey, but I quickly wanted to say something because it's like some people said they don't want to tell a man how to be with them, but it's like if you understand it, both people are going through trauma and don't think you so perfect that you don't have none. So it's like instead of trying to tell him how to be, you know what I'm saying, you need to identify the trauma. Because if you really want to be with this person, you'll do that, you know, not just bumping skins or whatever. So it's like if you do that work. So and I had this analogy, right? So it's like nowadays, like two people on two separate sides of the room, right? Men like come here, right? You come all the way over here to me. Women are like, now got freedom, right? You come here to me now. It doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? But listen, that dynamic does not work because listen, when you both meet in the middle, that's the beauty of it. If you can take away from yourself, take ego out of it, take pride out of it, and then meet that, you know what, let me step, even, you know what I'm saying, I'm not a Christian, you know what I'm saying, I'm not a Christian, but they say if you step first, you know what I'm saying, God will take steps towards you. So let's replace it. You know, if you take steps towards your person and they feel comfortable with you, they like, yo, this is a comfortable person. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, I'm not scared now. Let me take a step too. Like, oh, they keep on stepping, I'm gonna keep on until y'all meet in the middle. In a perfect world that works, but it's like the ideal, the concept needs to be, you know what, let me not be so in my ego. Let me go to you. And then the women need to be.
I feel like in order for that to really take place, people have to be able to. We have this thing where a lot of people say, I want 50-50 in my relationship. I disagree with that completely. I think you need to be 100-100. You 100% are individual, they're 100% individual, and then you two bring your 100 together. So when you're in a relationship, you're still a single person. You don't have a single title, but you're still a single individual. and it's your responsibility to take on the effort to deal with your own traumas. It's not your partner's job to heal you or fix you. Now, your partner can be a helper. They can help you. They can kind of give you insight or kind of help give you strategies to kind of deal or cope or enhance what it is that you're going through. But to actually to take on it, I disagree with that. But I definitely feel as though you have to work on your pride and things like that. A lot of times we don't really understand our trauma or our insecurities until we're in a relationship. But it's still your job as an individual to be a whole person, and then you and your partner both meet in the middle, 100, 100.
But I don't think that's how life works though.
It's
I think
like,
only because like, I mean it sounds good, but I don't think that's how it works. Like, we gonna end up dealing with each other's trauma regardless of whatever our situation is. I mean we can work ourselves on our like I'm gonna get myself together, get yourself together, but at the end of the day we can work together to try to figure out how we can like be together or how we can handle each other's trauma, because trauma don't never go away. Like we may say we forgive and forget, but it really don't. One little thing set you off and then you back into it.
and so that's what coming. That's the part where
it never leaves.
it can be something that can continue to be continuously an effect on you, but that's where you have to take a specific amount of time for yourself that you feel as though is appropriate to actually really work on it. Because if you're just looking for your partner to help fix it, let's say for any reason that person no longer exists, are you fixed or were you just comfortable with that particular person? You want to make sure that you're working on it. You can work together, but everybody can't work together. It takes patience, it takes understanding, it takes communication, and a lot of times people don't know how to do that. They lack those things in a relationship without the trauma. So I dated a guy who was bipolar. Now, he had to take medication and everything for it. That's a whole nother ball game of just dealing with a person who is not bipolar, but be acting like the fuck they are. So, me and the type of person that I am, I was very aggressive at one point. I was very violent. Thank God that I worked on who I was as a woman and put my hands on people, that by the time I met him and he wanted to flip the fuck off, I wasn't in a place where I was ready to attack him. I'm like, hit the ball, nigga, shit, you can pay for it. And I'm just over here still cooking dinner like it was nothing. But I had to take the time to really get to know him as an individual to understand, okay, your bipolar is triggered by X, Y, Z. Either your lack of taking your medication an hour later, or me understanding certain traumas that you're still healing from that you're working on. So as an individual, I helped him with that, but I can only help him. He still has to be able to do those. We can function in a relationship together, but if I wasn't a person who was in a place that worked on herself and her aggressiveness, I wouldn't have been able to work side by side with him in a relationship because it wouldn't have worked. So I feel like what you're saying is exactly correct, but it does take a separate role of you working on yourself before you can be able to do it with a person.
Hey, real quick, my man had a question about, or had input back there. My bad, bro. I ain't mean.
Now, I was just gonna say, I feel like this is sort of like grace we gotta have for each other. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times, like a lot of what y'all saying is valid. Like women are dominant. You know what I'm saying? But like y'all raising a lot of men by yourself, like with that mindset. So you know what I'm saying? So y'all gotta realize like men got fragile egos. So if we can't provide and we can't protect, we don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like single raising men. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to react. We can't provide and protect. Right. So we gotta have like that understanding with each other. Like, all right, we gotta have patience. We gotta work with each other because a lot of times we got trauma, but we dealing with too. We don't know how to express. We don't know how to talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta work with each other. It's a balance we gotta have. And I feel like a lot of women are dominant, but they don't realize what men go through too. We don't know how to talk and how to express how we feel and shit like that. So we gotta work with each other.
I definitely agree with that. And I feel like that comes back to what somebody said, I think it was you, Lauren, about being able to create your own gender roles within your household. What that looks like should be different for everyone. I was on a podcast recently where I met Mike at. That was an amazing episode where we talked about like the household. You know what? We're going to talk about a little bit of the household later, so I'll get into that a little later. But just another point that I wanted to say, you talked about insecurities and things like that and a man's ego and pride. One of my pinpoints that I had was how men are starting to become out-educated and economically outperformed by women, and how that's starting to affect the dynamics inside of a relationship. So I definitely think if people are able to just be confident and comfortable with who they are as an individual, that will be able to kind of create more of a positive atmosphere for a man to really be masculine, and a woman to be a little more less dominant. Okay, one second, Marcus. We're gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead to Mike is on it. Mike is on it. All right. So we have another amazing panelist up here with us. Go ahead and share your name.
Kencito.
Okay, Kencito. Kencito. That's it, right?
Kencito.
That girl, you be saying that at night. That's not like it. That's not like it. Oh, okay. I've been saying government.
Again, my man said his name. Say his name.
Say the name. All right, so we got Kendall Kencito up here because I definitely think we want to have more of a male's perspective. We're going to go into the characteristics of a man. And Kevin, you're a grown-ass man over there, so I definitely want to hear what you got to say. All right. So, characteristics of the man, physically. Gentlemen, what do you think that looks like?
Physical characteristics of a man. You know, getting the light bulbs out there. You know, taking the trash out. You know, this jar's too tight. Could you get this for me? You know, this refrigerator. Move this couch, you know what I mean? So a lot of
I'm gonna just say capable.
Capable.
Just capable, because you know, the tall, short, you know what I'm saying. Whatever you need to be, just be capable.
Okay. What are the sexual characteristics of a man?
You have to be
Very capable.
All right, wait, 1 second. We're gonna kind of bring some order. We're gonna let Ken and we're gonna let Mike respond first, and then we'll jump into the audience. All right. All right. Sexual characteristics of a man.
it's more dominant, more physically dominant than what they know. You know what I mean? You take control over everything. What's going on? I don't really let a girl take control too much.
Definitely dominant, but I mean, like I said, intelligent.
Okay. So do you guys think that a man is more of a bachelor in life versus a woman? A bachelor later in life than a woman. Why do you think that is?
It's definitely a thing. I know exactly what it is.
1 second, we're gonna let them
I really
speak
know
first.
exactly what it is. Women are more controlled early on 16, 17, 18, 19. They're pretty, so they got more control over the man. What they were saying earlier. Women got more control. But as soon as a man gets his car, his jewelry, his smell good, he become a man.
They look like this.
He become a man, and then the bachelor they come out and you got our own shit. They don't really need you.
Nope. It do work.
Women, bachelor later in life.
Men are bachelors later in their life versus women.
I feel like they know how to navigate the room more. Like I said, as we develop, we get more confident. We get better. You know what I'm saying?
that confidence builder.
Bad. You want to say something?
I think that's an interpretive question, because I was real quick and I was
Alright, so think about the functional characteristics of a man. So for me, it's the ability to be able to provide for your dependents. That doesn't necessarily be children, but as far as whoever your dependents are. Like me, I have siblings. They're not my children, but they're kind of a form of dependence. So I think that is a functional characteristic of a man. You guys have an additional input?
We simple, man. You know what I'm
Take the Oxford Dictionary definition and understand, man. Are you hungry? Yes. Is the food ready? We'll get it. Mayonnaise, meat, you got to it's simple. It don't take long.
So,
That's pretty solid.
What are the emotional characteristics of a man? What are the emotional emotional characteristics of a man.
That gets different.
Yeah,
Because a lot of men go through different things for real. So, like I was saying, I'm from Baltimore, so a lot of men go through more trauma early, like getting killed, people dying, their father getting put in prison. So it's a lot more different emotional trauma that got to be healed as a man.
Guard.
Yeah.
Very guarded. Just because of everything they said, we become guarded and we can't express or articulate.
So do you think that guarded is a form of in denial of your true emotions?
Sometimes.
It's probably not even knowing your truth.
Yeah, sometimes I don't even know how to express myself, so I won't say anything. I just.
And I know everything.
I don't know, with everything with me, I'm on both sides of it all. Because you have men who are scared to express their emotions. And they're scared to express their emotions due to previous trauma, whether it was from a family member, whether it's a mother and father, or a previously relationship. You have some guys who actually have opened up one time, did the goddamn time in their life, and they got taken way too far. They like, fuck these hoes. I ain't gonna hold you. In my mind, when I was a little bit younger, I had my son at 17. From the time that he was 1, 2 years old, all older women, he's so cute, he's so cute. I said, these hoes ain't going. And I've been telling him that from day one. And he's 16 now, and he's still like, Mom, I remember when I was 2, you telling me these hoes ain't going. I said, they still ain't. I don't want him to go through that because I can't, his father's around, but it's just an every other weekend thing. And my kids literally, because I'm just so open, everybody will call me the fun mom. Because I just say what I'm going to say and I mean what I say. Respectfully. But he tends to come to me and I be explaining to him like, you don't have to open up and say something to your father because I can't teach you how to be a man. I can just teach you from a woman's perspective. And in my mind, I'm a whole girly girl and a whole real nigga in one. And I be telling him stuff and he just be looking at me, but he won't tell his father nothing. It's so many secrets that I be like, man, you gotta go to the father. And his father get mad at me because I deserve.
It's that comfort.
It is. But again, like I said, it's more men, I feel like men are able to express themselves. It's just y'all are scared to. And it's due to previous.
You know,
It's not that
That's not even
I can say, like, I can
It's
say,
not an
about-
opposite to be emotionally in touch with yourself. For men, they feel like I gotta be hard, I gotta be tough, I gotta do this. I can't show you emotions.
But you
And that's what they get from a woman.
That's sometimes what men are looking for when they express themselves is not being given back to them as well.
Right.
And that's
So a nigga don't, a man does not want to be because there's a difference between a nigga and a man. A man doesn't want to tell you how he feels and then get called a bitch behind it because he expressed himself in a way that gave bitch attention. So at the end of the day, they ain't about to shit. So what you get in return is how it is. And are you going to change how you address the situation?
Like, come on.
Yeah,
Put it on my lap.
you just
Give it to him.
man, we'll keep a lot of things bottled up until that time.
Because some men opened up to women and like what you said, it just makes sense. So it fucks you up, and then you want to keep your bottle for the next woman you messing with. You don't
But I
want to
think
give
it
her
all comes
your
back
all.
to, like I said, defining those gender roles within your own relationship. Because if you don't do that shit first, then you get those people that call you a bitch for expressing your own emotions. As a man, as a woman, you get those people that go back and forth with you with that shit. It depends on what your relationship says you can say or what you can express. Because if you don't do that shit, then you out in the open for nothing.
But like, where's the idea, and just because I'm listening to everybody, like, everybody saying, well, just express, and you saying yourself, like, you start something again. I mean, we're all talking about, like, this is something that just happened. Most relationships are how this whole conversation started, kind of based off society. Like, everybody has their personal life and what you find attractive. But then from there, you know what I'm saying, that guy that you find attractive, the minute they may start opening up, y'all just met. He can start opening up about everything, but because you're programmed, and I'm not saying that anybody in here is, but a lot of us are programmed, like, it started a relationship goal. That shit look nice. when y'all in the beach and we taking selfies and the waves crashing right there. But like, how many times that man smack you up before y'all made it to the beach? Like, I've seen it. Like, and it be like, and it's like y'all doing all it. Like, I mean, I ain't, because I was joking with you, but it's kind of like, I watched Kevin Sanders. It was cool. Like, he said a lot of stuff that I thought people just need to say straight up. But then, and this is just me, I felt like he was also a guy that was telling women kind of pricing out your pussies. Like he's saying, you know, get a guy that makes X, Y, like, don't even really say I'm a man of high value, but just because you're making X amount of money don't mean that these women just want to be treated any way because I can go talk to whoever because I'm making whatever. And then now, like I say, now, like y'all talking about, y'all women have the money. How many times you might hear a guy come in and say, yo, I had a hard day at work, or my boss is getting me, like, y'all be wanting to hear that shit, y'all. Women kind of, y'all kind of know what's wrong. I'm telling you,
in the beginning.
All right, one at a time.
I'm not saying
All right, guys, we're going to get a floor to Kim, please.
I say, in the beginning of the relationship stage, or we talking stage, and the guy expressing himself too much, or he texting you too much, he hitting you up too much, he gets on your nerves, he can't even be expressing himself that he really likes you. He gotta give you the cold shoulder for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months for you to ever even notice him. It's ridiculous, the mind tricks today. It's ridiculous.
I agree.
It's ridiculous.
Definitely.
Open up.
Go ahead, Amada.
So the man texted me all day. I look at him like, what do I want? How do I want that person to do? Because in order for me to love somebody else, I gotta love me first. So the same love I show myself, I show my boyfriend. I want you to text me what you want. I want you to call me. What do you want?
After you like him.
No.
No, that's right. I mean,
Exactly. Because I love me. So if I love me, I'm gonna make sure that somebody else should do the same.
Men put so much energy into this girl, put so much into this girl, put so much, I'm trying to talk to you, I'm trying to talk to you.
And that's the thing.
By the time we get together, it was like, you said what? I didn't.
So the thing ourselves up to feel the same way that we feel. We treat ourselves like we
That's exactly what she was saying earlier. That's what she was saying earlier, the bachelor stage. You gotta get the money. The bachelor stage is on the money. Get to the bachelor stage, I don't really need you no more after that part.
Well, I'll take from that you gotta be willing to date yourself, and when you're dating, you need to understand what your end goal is, because you could be in the process of getting to know somebody, and then you realize, you know what, I'm dating for marriage. So I get to the place where I feel like, yeah, you got a lot of characters I like, but you also lack a lot of them for the person who I want to spend the rest of my life with. I gotta stop you there. Now, we can still be cool, but then our boundaries have to set because I need to be available to take myself and put myself in a position to date someone else. So if you guys are constantly texting all these people that get drained, at that point, you never looked at what your red flags were and how they did not match your end goal.
A lot of people not mature in that, I feel like as well, because you should come to the table with just stating your intention.
Exactly. A lot of people don't know this. They don't know their intentions. So we're going to jump into society. Idea of man. We're going to talk a little bit about the roles in the household of man and the biblical terms of man. Pretty much done. All right. So we talked about a little bit about society and how they feel as though the man should be like I guess the head of the household. Do you guys agree? Disagree?
I agree. It's a lot nowadays. We were saying something about the gender role earlier. The gender role now is like she was saying, her mom's in the house. They from Africa. Her mom's make all the money, so do this for me, But when you go to Africa, it's a whole fucking different thing. We making all the money, and this is a whole. So when we make all the money, whoever makes the most money is this fucking
I disagree with that. Because this is my household conversation that I want to talk about a little bit. If I dated a man and he made $40,000 and I made $80,000, if if we live in a household, I'm not going 50-50 with my man. Now, a lot of people feel as though they should, but I want my man to still be in a predicament where he's able to build and grow. Not coming to me and looking for, can I get $20 to go out with my boy? Like, I want my man to still be able to have the same thing I had. Now, me, I'm a semi-low budget bougie joint, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like my stuff to look a certain way, but we also are budget friendly, okay? So if I want to get something and it's outside, like right now where I'm living at, I love where I live. My man may have something that's a completely different level for his living expenses and things like that, and how he likes things to proceed. If we decide to move together, he budgets according to what it is he like, what he's comfortable with. I'm not going to make this man now have to go into debt to come and jump to the lifestyle which I had. Nor am I downgrading to whatever it is that he got. Not saying that it's a downgrade, but it ain't where I'm at. So if we're going to come together, I still want you to be comfortable. I still want you to be able to save, to be able to go out and have fun, to be able to do your vacations, to be able to invest into how you choose to spend your money. And at the end of the day, if it comes down to you pay, you know what I'm saying, 1/3 in utilities and I pay 2/3 of rent, or you know what I'm saying, you pay daycare and I pay for the bills, like I feel like that's all based on being in a place where you're comfortable with who you are as two individuals and the amount of money you make, and make sure that you're invested into your house. But because I make more, I don't feel like I am the head of the household. I feel as though I am a person who is helping create this household, and I have just as equal say as you do. The money don't matter to me. Now, to a lot of people it does, but I'm not with you because of your money. Because at the beginning of what I said, I'm able to take care of all my stuff by myself. The things that I want from a man, I guess you gotta look into my needs. Like I said, it's for the inside of me, or it's for my relationship goals, creating generational wealth. Yes, I am. Everybody does not, but yes, I am, because I'm not with you for your finances. I'm dating you for on a whole other level that I cannot give myself.
To a degree, you're not there for finances. To a degree. To a degree. The Lord Honda Accord breaking down.
See, that depends on the person that you're talking to, because me, I always had, this is my first car. You know what I'm saying? Like a ball on a budget. All the rest of my shit look good, but we couldn't afford a car note. You know what I'm saying? I have a car note. I'm not able to take care of certain things. Materialistic things are just not for me as a person. Now, I'm in a place where a lot of people may think that I'm a materialistic person because of certain things that I do or certain things that I have. It's not that. It's that I grind so hard to take care of another grown-ass man and his child and went into debt, where I had to make sure that the baby looked good, he goes to school looking clean, he goes to work looking good, while I'm sitting in the house, you know, looking like a piece of shit shopping at the thrift store. I like thrift shopping, but now do a bitch go thrift shopping? Sometimes. But I'm shopping everywhere else. Why? Because I didn't have the opportunity to love myself in the way that I wanted to in that relationship. So, thrift shopping.
Where we can shop and pay for
You gotta be comfortable. They do that.
Don't say y'all. Don't say y'all.
Men shop for shit.
What's my point is, everything we doing, I don't want to listen to work in high school. I work special needs, so I ain't got to worry about it. But the rest of the kids going through the hallway, why is this dude 19 years old in the 9th grade with Balenciaga? I remember it. I was in the 10th grade, male nation, had Jordan 18, slave jump. Teachers was mad at her. But it was my birthday. Kiss my ass. So, but like, I don't want to say like, the one thing that I hear, like financial, every time I heard y'all say, low-key, whether you want to accept it or not, it all goes back to some type of, even though she just said she's not with the guy for his finance, but it all kind of goes back to the finance.
Women buy shit to impress ourselves. Y'all buy shit to impress y'all niggas.
No. Like, it's something wrong with that. But like I said, I can say that every guy is. and some want to look a certain way. But everything still all kind of boils back to something. So I'm not saying that y'all wrong and whatever, but just realize like even emotion, everything we kind of doing is based off like this, because it's a society. It's a society that we as men, and we might be wrong, has seen that you all like, or the society, the lifestyles you want. Like I'm not saying that you all want to have the Malibu beach home. But I'm not saying that none of y'all gonna turn that shit down and then we go on and I'm just
women and men like the same shit. We all y'all like a man that smell good. Y'all like a man that look good. Y'all like a man that make a certain amount of money. Men like the same shit. They like a woman that smell good, carry themselves a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Make a certain amount of money. We all like the same shit. We all like to fake like we don't like the same shit. Like, nah, you want a woman that look good.
And we just saying about going here to the household, we all do the same thing, but we ain't, like I talk to a lot of old school guys in our job for real, so like, it's absurd for them and them and their partners not to have the same bank account. Like, that's absurd. Like, they don't have the same account. You don't know how much money I got, how much money you. We can't even get to that point, whereas we ain't even got the same bank, but you want me to invest all my everything, but you can't even share. Like, it's insane. It really is insane.
So Steve Harvey says that a relationship is 85-15. Who do you guys think that the 85% of the household responsibilities he said were taken care of? Men or women?
Nowadays, I say women. Modern days, women.
Alright, so he said, Steve Harvey said that a relationship is 85-15. What gender do you think he says has the 85% in the household?
Oh, we say, in today's time?
In the household, yeah.
Oh, in today's time, probably women. But I say today's time.
So, a lot of times, he said it was women. A lot of times, men are put in a position where they're supposed to be the man of the house, the head of the household, right? But when you think about it, and I'm just going to speak from my experience, I got up for my man, I got kids dressed, I got kids breakfast, I did the homework, I cooked, I cleaned. Now, they participated in it, but they were more to help me when it came to running it. Now, paying the bills, granted, he wasn't one that did that. But, you know, you would think that somebody else would be taking on the bills. But 85% of the day-to-day was all me. And it wasn't necessarily because it had to be on me for whatever reason. It's just that it was more suitable maybe because a woman is more nurturing for it to be that. And for the fact of, if I'm like, all right, cool, you will take him to the office today. Great. Comes home, gets the medicine, stays in the house. Most times I took off work, not him. But if I had to go, he had to go, take off work. Did you get baby medicine? No, I ain't know how much. You read shit. Like, it didn't make sense. I may have had to prepare on the weekend. So I was going to prepare. He ain't have to work. He in the house with baby. I come home at 2 o'clock. Y'all still in bed? No, he been up playing. Okay, well, what did you do for breakfast? He ain't asked nothing. The fuck he's free. Like, I was him. Well, like, you know, you could have gotten him something. I gave him fruit snacks. So that's what he had at 2 o'clock. Like, I feel like 85% of the household is actually day-to-day responsibility is a woman.
I definitely have.
So I'm not saying it's wrong. So you consider, and I'm not saying that this is what is a woman's job. There's no one out of 8 before. But everything she just said was more like of a nurturing thing. And I'm not saying guys can't be nurturing. Like, I have a daughter, I got nephews and nieces. I play with them, I feed them. Damn it, like I'm the main cook in the immediate family outside of our chef and his cousin. But like a lot of things that women like y'all. I'm not saying you're. How much of this shit is evolution? Like, how much of this shit is genetics? Like, how much are you born to be a nurturer? If everything else is I'm born this way and I'm born that way, like, how much? I'm not saying that it's your job.
So, if a woman is doing 85% of the day-to-day, how can we make sure that the man is in the household if that is what society perceives it to be?
Let me go ahead and explain that to y'all. Okay, I got you. So, for my household,
day part. You know, my dad passed away. So, my dad had a lot of health issues. So at one point, both my parents were working. Me and my brother was young enough to know that they was going to work, but time goes past, so you experience certain things, you don't even remember certain things. What we remember the most is when my dad got sick, and he couldn't work. So it fell on my mom to make sure that she was up every morning, going to work, bringing whatever. At the same time, my dad could have easily fell into this role of, my wife got it, our house gonna be paid for, the rent gonna get done, groceries gonna be good, this, that, whatever. Even with my dad's sickness, he never allowed himself to fall in that position to where my mom became the head of the household. She didn't make it in the one going to work, but my dad was up every morning making sure she had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He made sure that me and my brother was up, going to school, dressed, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Made sure our homework was done. He wasn't physically able to pick us up like when emergencies happened. So it did fall back on my mom to have to leave from work to come and get us. But at the same time, even if my dad's presence wasn't physically there, we knew we had a dad. That's one thing about how I feel like I have my humbleness, because there's a lot of people who have dads out here who didn't even bother to give their kids a chance. My dad went through his sickness, felt how he felt like he let us down, but at the same time, we never gave him that impression. I was in sports, my dad was barely there because of his condition, but he was always there for my brother shit. So at some point it kind of like kicked me wrong, but at the same time, my dad was a nurturer for me. He knew that with me being a daughter that was out here and he couldn't be out here to protect me, he made sure that I knew that he loved me when I was at home. Just, you know, do what dad's supposed to do. It saddens me a lot to see a lot of people who have dads who don't even bother to take that time out. And my dad could barely leave the house. And I tell you, I was in the 6th grade. I had the ambulance, the news, the fire department, everywhere. They had to break down my front door, pull the railings off my house because my dad was like 700 pounds. Not because he ate, but because his body attacked him and didn't allow him to move the way he wanted to. So being that young and being scared to go to school because your ass on the front of the newspaper, not having people understand that at the end of the day, my dad's here and we're living. So what you want to say? My dad made sure that his disability came in, his social security came in. If he was able to pick up the phone and make $1, he did it. It was never where my mom felt like, I have to go to work to do this. I have to do this. She knew that even in my dad's situation, she still had a partner. She never wanted to leave him. My dad always swore that my mom was going to. Never did. So for me, marriage is definitely something to look forward to. I definitely seen what death was part, for better or worse, what thick and thin looks like. It can be done. Just people don't have that mindset, like you said, to desire that. I think it's almost kind of like a fear because everybody is raised differently. But at the same time, even with that, I don't even see, my mom being 85% and my dad being 15 only because she, in a way, yeah, because she went to work. But at the same time, my dad wasn't lazy. He definitely did more than his 15%. So I think, like you said, it just comes to understanding who you with. Really realizing that if you're going to be with somebody through some shit is what it is. Like, it was never a time where my parents wasn't in the same, yeah, they was. But, my dad got sick, we wasn't able to live with him. My whole family was split apart. My mom was one place, I was somewhere else, my brother was somewhere else. Eventually we ended up coming back together. But at the same time, like, a lot of things that I see, I just don't understand. For me, being raised in a Christian home, when my dad was a deacon, we went to church every Sunday. Vacation Bible school. We at church at 8:30, don't get out till 3 o'clock. And guess what? There's a PM service at 6, and guess who better be there? Okay? So, like, the household roles, I feel like they should never be live by capability. And it definitely should be something that can be taken for granted of, or feel like you was taken for granted of at some point in time.
So based on everybody's input, especially yours, that was definitely, I feel like a lot of us could relate to different bits and pieces, if not the entirety of what you're speaking to. That, what about there not being a head of the household? What about people just being in the household and working as a team to be able to create it, to be able to evolve into something else? Why does someone have to necessarily lead the household? Do you guys think that it's acceptable to be able to say two people are coming together to be able to create a generation of wealth, a new lifestyle, just a home in itself, without there being a percentage of how much responsibility you have?
I never looked at my mom, dad, grandmother, anybody as like a leader. So I don't know why it has to be she's the one that runs the house. He's the one, like, and I think that's what we're losing, because everybody in today's time is an identity. Like,
But
today's time.
a lot of people say 50-50.
Don't get me wrong. Like, the same makes sense. Like, a household, like you said, even a relationship. Like you said it before I could. I used to say a relationship to me. Now you said it's 100. Like, I believe it's 50-50, but it's 100% of my 50. Like, I can only show you I'm so attracted to you, and I can, even if you don't like me, every guy's in a situation where like the girl and she just doesn't
See,
fuck
I
with
feel
her.
like you gotta take ourselves out of that mindset, because if you always get in the mindset of 50-50, of us meeting each other halfway, you're not gonna always get to meet your partner halfway. Your partner may be lacking something where you have to go 70 and they have to go 30.
But now once
You
again,
have to be able to know your partner's strengths.
is this a
to
physical?
know
Is this a physical?
all things. All things.
Nowadays, guys don't even talk about, I'm sorry, I was thinking that because that pride is in a way. They're not gonna say, I need help with this, I need help with that. Guys will come to you and say, I need help with this. Whereas a woman will be more, I mean, give me a practice, but a woman will be more so like, hey, you mind helping out with this, that I've been brought up by a single mother raising 3 kids on her own. So we just have that independence in us, and it's, you know, I'm trying to nowadays kind of learn that, but, you know, it's really kind of hard also, but I think it's easy to develop.
Somebody has to step up and lead.
But instead of it being like a leadership of head of the household, why not just only lead when it's necessary for you to lead?
It can be a team thing, but the communication has to be there. When the communication isn't there, it's nothing there, because then you have one person trying to do all this stuff to make sure you pick up the slack, where instead of coming together like, hey, all right, you help with this, all right, when we do this, I do that. Teamwork is not really there, because the pride is in a way on both ends.
I agree.
It needs to come together as a team. And then the partnership should come together 50-50.
Alright, so, one second. We're gonna go ahead and cut right here. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap everything up, and then we're gonna come back in about